welcome to this edition of Buncombe Life. You'll never guess where we are. Well, maybe. We're at the Asheville Humane Society. And why have we come here? Not necessarily to show you the animals that are adoptable, although they've got loads. They've got some of the biggest bunnies I've ever seen. Lots of animals out here. But we've come for a reason that should be close to your heart and mine, and that's animal safety and kid safety and adult safety when it comes to animals. The Asheville Humane does a lot more than just adopt out animals. They can train, they can teach, and tell all kinds of things about how to approach animals, how you shouldn't approach animals, and well, you just need to hear it. So stay tuned. You're going to learn something, I promise. Here we go. Okay, I've been joined by Katie, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our folks at home.
Okay. I'm KATY MAHALEY. I'm the Behavior Department Coordinator for Asheville Humane Society.
Okay, and we are here at Asheville Humane Society, and I just got to stop a second. There's the coolest bunny back here, and he's huge, and he could be yours. And they say he's very friendly, but that's not why we're here. We're here because ways to approach animals, and we know that this is the best place to get an animal. If some folks at home are needing a pet, a friend, this is the best place to get one. But I don't think people realize how much that y'all do to educate and to look at animals and the ones that go out and come in, and how much work you do with that.
Yeah.
And then we got to thinking about if somebody comes in the doors here today and they say, I'm looking for an animal, first of all, what do y'all do to decide? You don't just say, well, here, take a bunny.
Yeah.
Or take a cat.
Yeah.
What do you kind of do to make sure they get the right animal?
Well, we talk to them kind of about what animal they're looking for first. So they're looking for a dog, cat, bunny, or even snake. We've got some snakes here today.
Okay.
And once we get an idea of that, we'll meet with one of our adoption counselors, and they're able to walk around and look at the different animals that we have available for adoption. And our adoption counselors can speak to the different behaviors that we've witnessed here of those animals, and try and help match them up with the best suited animal for their home.
The right animal for the right home, for the right environment.
Yeah.
That, and we knew y'all did that, and I think the folks at home will be happy to hear that they can come out here and get educated, actually. But you do actually more than that. You can actually help people with how to approach animals. There's a right way and a wrong way to approach animals. Let's talk about that a little bit. Never approach an animal without an adult present. Talk about that a little bit, because you know, Asheville, we love our animals. And if you walk anywhere in the street, if I have my dog, people will come up to it whether you want them to or not.
Yeah, so definitely make sure there is an adult owner present, and specifically owner, because just if there's an adult present and they don't know the animal, they can't speak to its past as far as interacting with strangers. And a lot of animals don't like interacting with strangers. It makes them a little uncomfortable, just like it makes us a little uncomfortable to interact with strangers.
Right, and it might be a great animal, but if they're approached too quickly or something like that, it could disturb them. Ask permission before you approach?
Yes, ask permission before you approach. So not even before you touch the animal, before you approach the animal. Because a lot of people have animals that get really nervous about the approach. So they can get nervous before you even reach out to touch them. So I always stop and say, can I pet your dog? Do you mind if I approach your dog?
Yeah, and it's okay to do that. I think some people don't. Should I ask? It's okay to ask.
Absolutely.
You should ask.
Yes.
Never bother an animal while they're eating.
Yes, so I don't like to be bothered while I'm eating. And general animals don't either. And so it's just a basic basic respect.
That just makes sense. Avoid hugging animals.
Yes, so we are very, we humans love to hug each other. It's our way of showing affection. And so what I've actually seen is a lot of people show their affection by hugging their animals. And especially for things like dogs and cats, they don't do that to each other. So it's a very foreign body language and can make them really uncomfortable. Now sometimes animals are fine with it, and if they've been socialized to it since they were very young, it could be completely fine. But most of the time, animals do not like to be hugged.
That makes total sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
This next one is something I really want folks to think about. I had never thought about this, but never leave animals with young children unsupervised.
Yes. So even if you've had the animal for years and it's always been perfectly fine, we can't predict every situation and every environmental change that could happen. And they're animals and they're children, both of which can be somewhat unpredictable.
Yeah, that's totally.
So always supervise young children with animals. They should never be left alone. Because that's where a lot of the accidents happens, because the misunderstanding occurs when there's not an adult present to kind of supervise.
And this is coming from people who hear stories about this kind of thing and see things like this happen all the time.
Yeah.
So, and you don't want anything bad to happen. Teach children and pets fun and appropriate ways to interact with each other. Now, I don't think that's something we don't think about doing, but it makes total sense.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite games to teach with with dogs and children is hide and seek. Because you teach the dog to recall a come command, and you can even teach them to sit and everything, but you put the dog in a sit stay, the children get to go and hide, and then the dog gets to go and find them, and it's this fun game, and they're interacting in a very positive way where you're both building manners for the dog, and you're teaching the kids how to interact with the dog without making the dog uncomfortable.
It makes total sense. And learn about animal body language. Now that's the one we got to spend a minute on. There is animal body language, just like we have body language.
Absolutely.
Animals have it too.
So I always think about it as my first language is English.
Yeah.
A dog's first language is dog body language. A cat's first language is cat body language. So if I'm going to bring an animal into my home, if I want that to go successfully, I need to be sure that I learn their body language so I can help them adjust successfully. So I need to learn that second language. And there's lots of good resources that we can hook you up with to learn that language if you have any questions about it.
So folks can come here and get this information from you guys directly.
Absolutely. They can also send me an email if they have any questions about a particular behavior their dog is exhibiting, or if they want to reach out to, or cat rather. And if they want to reach out to other trainers and behavior consultants, we can provide them with all that contact information.
That's great. And this is just a little tidbit to get you to want to know more. Just because a dog is wagging its tail does not mean it's happy.
No, it is the biggest misconception with dogs. It's actually, we do volunteer training here, and that's the first thing I tell my volunteers. Just because a dog is wagging its tail does not mean it's happy. It can, but it does not equal happy.
That's right. Okay, so when you're talking about the body language, what is an example of something, if I see a dog or cat exhibiting, I should back up?
So a good one with dogs is if they're not approaching you. If you're approaching them and they're kind of shying away, backing up, putting their body low, their ears back, and they're kind of giving you big, it's called whale eye, where they kind of look at you out of the corner of their eye. That's definitely a body language that they're uncomfortable and your approach is kind of making them uncomfortable.
And I should back away.
Yeah, and cats is relatively similar if we're looking at that same scenario where they're uncomfortable with your approaching. They're going to kind of hunker up and get a little smaller. Their ears are likely to go back, and their eyes are likely to get pretty big too.
So it sounds like body language that you should just automatically realize, but not so much.
Yeah,
it can be
there's
very subtle.
There are very subtle things. With cats especially, I find there's a lot of subtle things where once you point them out to people, they recognize them, but a lot of times they don't know to look for them, and so they miss them.
And these are all things that y'all notice here, that you know to look for here, that is noted in your adoption stuff. So when somebody comes in to look for an animal, you already know a lot of stuff about these animals and can match them up.
Yes, absolutely.
With the people really well.
Yeah.
That is so good to know. Okay, so we've talked about body language and safety with mostly dogs and cats.
Yeah.
But y'all have a lot of animals here other than that, but dogs and cats we'll focus on. But wildlife, and I want you to tell me what that means exactly. What is wildlife? But wildlife animals, and we have a lot of that happening around here too. People approaching them, wanting to make pets out of them, and that kind of is not safe either.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
So the first part of your question, wildlife, what that means is a non-domesticated animal. So when we domesticate animals, that means they've been bred for like a pet life or to live around humans for generations and generations. Whereas with wildlife, they don't have that experience. So even if you get it as a baby, it's still a wild animal.
Like a raccoon, a squirrel.
Absolutely.
Anything that comes that's out in nature.
Yes. So the first thing is my general rule of thumb, don't approach wildlife. If you want to watch from a safe distance, that's fine. But wildlife should not be approached, period, at all. If you find an injured animal or you are having an issue with that, you can report it to animal control and they can come and pick it up.
Right. This should be just a duh, but we have a lot of bears in our area.
We do.
If it's a cub, and we think it's lost mama, we do not approach.
Nope, if you think that, then you get to a safe location and you can call animal control. They're trained to deal with these kind of situations and they know who to contact. So that if the cub was abandoned, then they can get them to the appropriate people.
Now this is just my question. Do y'all ever have any wildlife turned in here? Like people have actually gone and...
Absolutely.
Like what?
I mean, you name it, we probably had it, yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that these animals carry diseases because they're not vaccinated. And so, depending on the situation, people can end up having to go through a series of rabies shots, which are very uncomfortable and expensive.
Right, just because they thought they were helping.
Yes.
But they should call.
Yes, they had the best
control.
intentions, but unfortunately.
Right, because these kind of wild animals, I'm sure, give body language signs too.
Absolutely, yeah. And if we think cats' body language is subtle, then wildlife body language is going to be even more subtle because they're not domesticated, so they're not used to having to communicate with us.
Exactly. Okay, now I've been joined by
CLARY Pickering with Asheville Humane Society. I'm the communications manager here.
Cool. And we want to talk about a new campaign. This is brand new, called, and it's so new I have to look at my notes, Project Yellow. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great idea. I'm so glad y'all are going to do it. Tell us just a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, Project Yellow is basically kind of globally known, but we're trying to bring that awareness here to Buncombe County and surrounding areas. Project Yellow is basically if you see a ribbon tied on a dog's leash and it's yellow, it lets you know to approach with caution. Right. It doesn't mean necessarily that the dog is scary or bad, but it may mean that that dog needs a little extra care and attention being approached, and that you should talk to the owner first to find out what's the best way to interact with that animal.
Right, and I think I would like to have a yellow ribbon just because I want people to ask me before they approach.
Absolutely.
Just for caution.
And you should always ask to approach a pet, talk to the owner first, but that yellow ribbon kind of signals immediately that that's what you need to do.
Right. Now, tell me what's made you guys think this is something that we need to do here? What's brought it about?
Well, we've heard a lot of feedback, first of all, from people in the community who are concerned when they take their dog on a walk and immediately are approached by people or children who are eagerly petting their dog without asking permission. And sometimes that can be scary for both the owner and the pet.
Right. But I think it's a great thing, and we have had a lot of feedback. I know the county has had a lot of feedback working with Asheville Humane to say we want to be as safe as possible. Y'all do so much education, and I think this is just one more way to educate people, to keep their animals safe, the people safe, and their animals safe.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What else is happening here at Asheville Humane that you would want our folks at home to know about?
Well, we are expanding a lot of our outreach programs to help pets and their people in the community. We have a new
Pets and their people.
Pets and their people.
I love that. Go ahead.
It's our Thrive Together campaign, and education is a part of that. So Project Yellow and also pet safety is a big focus for us.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the program too that I know y'all are doing for people who might need a little bit of help. They don't really want to surrender their animal, but they might need a little help. Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We have our safety net program. So sometimes people are in a situation of crisis that can be avoided, and they need that extra help caring for their pets. It could be food, it could be behavior assistance, and they don't want to give their pet up, but they're being put in a position where they're having to consider it. We have a lot of resources available for them. They could be anything from maybe house training, maybe your pet is soiling your carpet, ruining your floors, or maybe it's just basic manners. We can help with all of that.
Right, jumping and barking and all that.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want the folks at home to know?
Just know that Asheville Humane Society is always here to help. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you need assistance with anything other than just adoption, we're here to help.
Yeah, so anything.
Anything, just give us a call.
That is good to know. Thank you. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Still here at Asheville Humane though, when they end up here in their store, there's so much going on out here. It's not just a place to come adopt animals. That's definitely what they do, and they do so well. But you can come and take a tour. Just come check it out. Come look at the animals. Come shop in their store. So much you can do. You need to check out their website and come out and give them a visit. And as always, stay tuned. You never know where we'll be next month on Buncombe Life.